to the FLV Moscato.
Hey guys, and welcome to this week's Layerz episode. This week is my week, and that means I got to choose which flavor I wanted to build my layer with. I chose FLV Moscato. My label is actually worn from all the use. I chose FLV Moscato for my layers, and I'm going to jump right into my single flavor testing and start with that. Okay, so for my single flavor testing, I did 0.25%, 0.5%, 1%, 2%, and 3%. I think there's a use for FLV Moscato. It's each of these percentages, depending on what you are going for and what you would be using this in your recipe as. So I'm going to start with 0.25%. Here I get a very light but authentic white grape flavor with a slight green type of note, almost like that green skin of a white grape, like a young grape. Young, fresh type of, when it's still on the sour type of tart, then the skin is a little bit on the bitter side. It also depends on what variation of grape that it is. I get no funny notes at 0.25%, and then next at 0.5%, I think it works well as an additive for grapes specifically, and I think it can work well to boost a red grape. The grape texture of a red grape that's sometimes a little bit thin, this would work well in opening up and boosting a bit. So it's the same type of grape, that white grape, authentic white grape flavor, but here I have it with a little bit more body or texture. Then at 1%, I see this working as a grape combo in a grape profile. It's still a full-on fruity white grape, but with a little more aged or a riper type of grape taste. Also, I almost get a note like there's a light red berry added. Then at 2%, I see this working as a full-on white grape or even as a combination with another grape. It's a very full white grape with a great full texture and slight more juiciness than it has at 1%. And this is also my personal preference of where I use this Moscato at, is 2%. Then next at 3%, I see this working well in a booze type of beverage that needs a little bit more of a ripe type of grape. It doesn't really lose the white grape flavor. It's just that it develops a little bit more of a bitter note to it that would complement something like a wine a lot better. Then also I have no funny notes all the way through from 0.25% to 3%. It's a great white grape for me. I see it working very well in whatever you throw it at, but you would need to look at your percentages depending on the use that you are going for. So I'm going to share my layer that I created here, and I called this layer Moscato Liquido. The thing I was going for here was basically that white grape juice, a pure white grape fruit juice that you would buy we have it in boxes and different brands called Series or Liquid Fruit or whichever brand it might be. They all normally have a white grape. Now I was going for something like this, and that also inspired me to think about fruit juices in general, where this layer would fit in. Now, most fruit juices that I'm referring to, like these boxes of fruit juice that we have here, it's basically diluted with a mixture of either apple or grape or both. So this is where I see this working in exactly the same way. I wanted to create a very moist, wet fruit juice layer that you can throw into most fruit juices to give it a little bit more realistic profile into moistness and texture that you would have in a fruit juice. So this layer contains, let me start with the notes. So I said here, my idea here was to make a base layer for grape juice or juice that can be used as a moist, juicy layer for a fruity fruit juice. Inspiration is basically from how a grape and apple combo is used in most fruit juices as a background or base layer. Moscato at 2% is perfect to me as a very visible white grape without adding any funky or bitter dry notes that I usually get from other white grapes. The texture from the Moscato really pops here, and it's a lot like a watery flesh layer inside a grape. So then I used the combination of Fuji apple and country apple to get a fresh apple juice in combination with the fruit juice, and that's basically where my base or the layer, that's the main part, the most important part of the layer. I also went on to add a little bit of FAP for a little bit more of the moisture and some of the texture that I think with the right flavor, you can mask the texture of the pear to seem like another fruit. And in this case, I'm using the texture of a pear with low percentage with my grape to give my grape more texture. I think this can work very well in pairings on berries, specifically strawberries and blueberries. And I went with a pairing in a recipe that I'll show you next of strawberries. I've also, just a note on the combination of berries, was I tried FLV's new pink fruit as a component of the layer, and it did not end well. It's almost like the berries, or I would assume a sharp berry wouldn't go very well with this, because it kind of mixes the profile of the white grape up a lot, or bends it into a way that it's not really enjoyable to. So that's just a note on berries not to pair it with. But other pairings it works well with, I would say, a lot of fruit beverages, fruit vapes, and juicy gummy candies. This is actually tasty as a standalone white grape juice, but I would personally add some WS23 and super sweet to get it where I would like it as a standalone grape juice. It can obviously do with a lot more amendments if you are working for a full white grape juice, but this is basically a very moist juice layer that I would throw at a lot of fruit to give it a fruit beverage type of profile. So I think it has a lot of use, and I'm very, very happy with this layer. I ended up vaping my sample of this layer, made another sample, and then went on to create the recipe that I'm going to go to now. So give this layer up a mix if you enjoy a white grape. This is very delicious. I really enjoyed it. If you are going to mix this one up, I would say just add a touch of super sweet, or any sweetener really, and then also WS23 if you like a cool apple juice. Then next up here, I created a recipe with my layer to show you how I would implement my layer in a recipe. So this is my mix I call Moscato Nectar. And my notes here say, I created this recipe using my Moscato layer. I wanted to use the layer in a fruit juice, but did not want to go with an average grapple or some thin kind of fruit juice. I figured a tropical vibe would be weird enough with a grape layer, and I wanted to give that a try. I just wanted something else. I'm tired of mixing the same things. So this turned out very tasty, a strange and delicious mix that I can only describe as a pink or slight red tropical fruit juice with a unique mouth-watering grape twist to it. So the pink part of this profile, that pink tropical flavor, I got from the combination of the strawberry shisha and the FLV pink guava. This is where I get that, the FLV pink guava is where I get that tropical notes from. I also get a little bit of grapefruit notes in the FLV pink guava, just off the smell and from previous uses. The shisha melting the tropical guava and citrus notes down into a sweet nectar that mixes into a grape layer. And then this just becomes this delicious pink nectar. It's really good. I added WS23 to bring in that cool beverage feeling, and then also with regards to the sweetener, I would say yes, add it. The profile is just not the same without sweetener. And if you are scared of mixing sweetener, I would say use it, but at the lowest go for 0.25. That's really not that high, and it won't scare anyone. If you have a sweet tooth, mix this up with anything between 0.5 to, I don't know, 0.8%, whatever your preference is. It's really great. So give this a mix if you are looking for something fresh. I would say I really enjoyed this mix. It surprised me a lot more than I anticipated. I figured I'm going to throw a few things together to just complement, to see what's going to work with the grape. And to my surprise, the guava, I was a bit wondering about the guava, but it ended up and it worked very, very well. So if you like weird things, guava or grape, give this a mix. And please put your comments in the section below and let us know. Let me know if there's anything you find that could work well with this layer, or if you enjoyed the recipe, or any feedback in general, I would appreciate. Give it a mix, give it a rating. Thanks for watching. Be sure to catch us Thursdays for our live Layerz episode, and have fun. Enjoy the mix. Cheers.